All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to shortcut you past the massive, expensive equipment rack.
We're going straight into the wall plate.
Literally, we're focusing on the Aurora Multimedia IBT-1-WP1-W.
Exactly. And our sources here, the product specs, they don't just describe a wall plate. They lay out a plan for, well, a foundational building block.
A building block for what, though?
For a colossal 4K video matrix, we're talking up to 255 sources feeding 255 displays.
Wow. That is huge commercial-grade scalability from, what looks like a simple component. So our mission today has to be unpacking the tech that makes that possible.
That would be IP-based. It's their proprietary system.
And it sounds like a pretty radical shift away from the traditional, the centralized AV matrix setups.
Oh, it is. IP-based is really the key innovation here. If you follow AV distribution, you know there are basically two main flavors.
Right. You've got HD-based on one side.
Which is great for simple point-to-point. Super reliable. One cable does it all. And then you have AVoIP, which gives you that huge scalability over standard network switches.
So IP-based T is, what, a mix of the two?
That's what they claim. The reliability of HD-based T with the sheer capacity of AVoIP.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The complex routing brain, the core of the matrix, it isn't in a dedicated chassis anymore.
Not at all. The whole thing is decentralized. You just use a recommended off-the-shelf network switch. They actually call it the glue that connects all your IBT devices.
Using an off-the-shelf switch as the glue sounds really simple, but, doesn't that introduce risks, like single points of failure that a big, dedicated chassis is designed to avoid?
It's a fair question, but the sources imply the reliability is baked into the intelligence of each individual component. And speaking of performance, this thing claims to clear a very high bar.
Which is?
4K 60, 4.4.4 video with 0 frame latency.
0 frame latency. Okay, that's the magic number. Standard AVoIP often has to compress, right? Which adds milliseconds of delay.
It does. And 0 frame is the premium standard because it means the signal is basically instantaneous. That's critical for, say, using a remote mouse or just making sure your audio and video are perfectly synced up.
And they pack all that into a single gang wall plate.
A ton of function. It's a transceiver, so you can set it to be an encoder for a source or a decoder for a display. It handles PoE/LAN, CEC control for the displays, and get this, it can run on as little as 3 watts.
That low power draw makes a lot of sense for a distributed system. But okay, let's circle back to that massive 255 by 255 claim. How does the routing not become an absolute nightmare?
This is where the simple addressing scheme they've designed really works its magic.
Okay, walk me through it.
So, if you just need a basic point-to-point link, one source to one display, you set both devices to address 0. Done.
Simple enough, but what about the full matrix? Multiple sources to multiple screens?
That's when you start using address 1 and up. You give each transmitter, each source, a unique address. The system then uses simple multicast to broadcast that signal.
So any receiver on the network can just tune into that address.
Any receiver that's set to look for address 1 or 2 or, 150, it basically functions just like an off-the-shelf matrix, and you can control it with simple RS-232 commands.
With that kind of simplicity and scale, I can see this having huge appeal for government and big commercial jobs.
And the sources confirm that. They make a point to highlight that it's TAA compliant, it's made in the USA, and they even describe it as tariff-free.
All things that matter when you're planning a big installation budget.
Absolutely. And with today's price at $898 per unit, it really does simplify the cost structure compared to a huge custom-built chassis matrix.
So to sum up our deep dive here, we're looking at a wall plate that delivers high-performance 4K 60 with 0 latency.
It offers massive scalability, up to 255 by 255, and it uses this IP-based tech to move all the complex routing away from specialized hardware and onto your standard network.
What's really fascinating to me is how this blurs the line between, a simple IT network component and these highly specialized professional-grade industrial matrix switches.
It really does. It's a fundamental shift.
Which leaves us with a provocative thought for you to think about. What happens to the market for that highly specialized, very expensive AV hardware when all the heavy lifting, the switching, the routing moves entirely into software on a network, accessible through something as simple as a wall plate?